Here at KSMO Radio, well, we finally got that situated. We got Presiding Commissioner Darrell Skiles with us this morning on this Friday morning.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning, sir.
Nice, beautiful.
A little breezy,
warm,
but
breezy,
boy,
warm
this
fall
is
morning
November,
up
remember.
Is this breeze blowing in a good rain for us tonight?
It is. It's going to blow in a really...
Excuse me, you got me froggy.
Yeah, blow in a real good rain. And it'll get a little cooler, too.
How much rain are we going to get, Stan?
Well, about close to 2 inches, I'm thinking.
That'll be all right.
Yeah.
Ponds could use it. Creeks wouldn't hurt if they got a little muddy and run a little bit.
Again, though, Darrell, it really does look like it's going to be more one of those nice, steady little rains. So
That's fine, too.
where it's going to soak in really good. So not a lot of runoff, but you never know. Never know. We could get some heavy rainfall and have a few things fill up a little bit. Maybe.
Great time to be in Dent County, though, huh?
But do, by the way, watch out for a lot of the washout right now with a lot of leaves where it can fill up a culvert or anything and then back up very quickly.
One of the biggest problems we have this time of year is just once the leaves get down, you get a good rain, you're right. Then all them leaves fall in all the ditches and all the various little crannies in the hollers, and then down they come and they clog up the culverts. And then when the culvert gets clogged up, if you get a big rain, then the water runs, instead of through the culvert, runs over the road. So, yeah, be very careful and watch for that, and it is a problem. I'll mention, since we're talking about that, and we are talking about county business here. I'm Presiding Commissioner Darrell Skiles. So, anyway, Commissioner Larson did mention yesterday one concerns people have when the guys are grading this time. It's one of the toughest times of the year for them to grade when the leaves are totally, or when the roads, county roads, gravel roads are totally covered with leaves. It makes it very difficult to grade the roads because, quite frankly, if you're sitting up there, you can't even see the road bed, and so it's a difficult time. And when they get done, often there'll be a windrow of leaves on one side of the road, and there may be a windrow of leaves on the other side of the road, and they'll let them sit, and they're rushing. And then when they come back and grade again, that material and the leaves, it gets graded out and ground up. But it's just the nature of the beast. There's nothing you can do with those leaves except get them off to the side. So I don't know what else to say. We deal with that every year, especially at this time, and it's a job. It's it's not quite as easy to grade a road as some people might think. And the guys do the best they can, but this is a pretty tough time of year for the operators when they're trying to deal with all the leaves on the roads.
And the leaves so far this year, Darrell, have been dry because we only had one rain.
Oh yeah,
since they really started to fall.
Yeah,
and and then we got breezy. So even the leaves that got a little bit wet when they fell, and usually those kind of stick a little bit to the road.
Yep,
they're blowing around too.
Yep. So anyway, it's that time of year. But
it is
anyway. But lots going on.
There is always a lot going on.
Good to be here this morning, though.
Well, very good to have you. Very good to have you.
Since we actually even got started, if it's all right, Stan, I'll just go ahead and mention a few more things having to do with roads, road and bridge. There is a lot going on. And I tell you, it got almost too dry to grade there for a while. You can't grade powder, and the roads, once it gets, these gravel roads, once it gets so dry, trying to grade them, they just turn to powder, and you're just it's just dust and it's just a mess, and it's hard. But we have gotten a few rains and got them moistened up, so they've been doing a lot of grading. Another thing they've been working on quite a bit is District 1 Commissioner Wes Mowbray has a Title II, what we call Title II project, and that's just Title II is just a goofy name for a fund where some of our national forest money has to go. It either has to go in Title II or Title III. Some of it goes, when we get national forest money, goes right in the Road and Bridge Fund, but a portion of it has to go in either Title II or III. And there's designated things you can use those funds for. But at any rate, and for Title II, you have to apply through the what they call the RAC committee that oversees those funds for the region, and they approve those. So he did get approval for a $45,000 project on County Road 5600 down in the southeast part of the county, and it's to add a lot more material white rock and replace a lot of culverts down there and to improve drainage.
If I'm not mistaken.
I think so. So, and people say, well, them roads don't get used hardly at all, and there you are, down there working and doing all that. But those roads, they're county roads, they got to be maintained and kept up. And if we could use these Title II monies to improve that road and get that in better shape, then that just frees up dollars we have for our other county roads as well. So, it's not that we're picking it out special that we think it needs special. It's just it's got to be on roads that are within the national forest, for one thing, to be able to use those Title II funds on. So they've been working on that project extensively. The crews are kind of about to wind down the chip and seal resealing of several county roads and some things like that. It's about a $270,000 project that we'd put out, and so had the crew working on that. Crews have been cleaning out bridges and installing culverts. Another project that we've had in the works was called a FLAP project, and that's another federal lands access project. It has to do with roads that actually access federal lands in one way or another. You know, we've talked about this. We had this one project to asphalt County Road 6670 going down to Tanvat, that long hill. It's very difficult to keep maintained and in good shape, so we put out there to get some federal dollars to and it was estimated to be about $137,000 to just asphalt that whole road down the hill all the way down to Tanvat, which is one of the access points on the National Scenic Riverway, so that's why it qualifies. Put it out for bid earlier this year, never even got a bid. These asphalt companies, after the big slowdown with COVID and everything grinding to a halt, things have turned back up. MoDOT's had all kinds of work for these companies to do across the state. They're busy. So we put it out for bid again, and again, we never got a single bid. So we'll see. We'll work on that some more, and we'll put that out for bid again after the first of the year and see what can get done on that. And then also, Mowbray's been working on another flap project to go ahead and extend that road and paving project on a whole separate project, though, but to go ahead and extend it from Tanvat on around to come in the south side of Montauk Park, then and hook up with the Montauk Road there. So but that's a separate deal right now. We're just trying to get the hill asphalted down to Tanvat.
Right.
So anyway, lots going on there. As you know, Stan, you said in the meetings all the time, we did have Commissioner Larson was made aware that an issue had come up in his district on particularly the one he knows about right now is County Road 4330, where the Forest Service has gone in and on the side of the county road basically done some work with grading and putting trees in place to block access to a spot where people have been camping for deer season. So don't know what all the issues are there about why they've done that. Commissioner Larson has been talking to the, I think it's the interim ranger for this district, but at any rate, for the Salem district. So, but at any rate, he's been talking to him and is discussing those issues some more with them about what's going on with the Forest Service blocking off camping area for us, because I mean, or even if they're deer hunting, at least it's a spot where they can get off the county road and get out of the way. So
can't park on the county road and block it.
Exactly, and you know, there's different spots of this all over the national forest where people would over the years have camped. So don't know what the issue is there, but he'll be Commissioner Larson is going to be visiting with some more about that particular issue.
And some of those people have been going there for decades, Darrell.
For years.
Same
families,
place.
Families have been going to that spot, and so I don't know. There's maybe there's some other issues that we just don't know about yet, and we'll see and find out what's going on there. So anyway, we did have gotten some good news. We talk about this every month. CART. C-A-R-T, that's County Aid Road Trust, and those are the tax dollars that are attached to fuels, motor fuels, and also sales tax on vehicles and so forth. And so the treasurer comes in every month, updates us. Those revenues for October were up actually about $19,000 over October of 21. Pretty incredible. And that is a flat amount on that the counties get. I mean, it doesn't rise and fall with inflation.
Right.
So
the gas tax doesn't change.
Right, not on the portion that we get.
It does vary a little bit with new car or used car sales.
It will on those, right, because as they go up in price, then why the sales tax then on them is part of that revenue as well. But the bulk of it comes, though, from the motor fuels tax. So at any rate, it's up about $19,000 over October of 21. It's up, for year to date, it's up about $65,000 over 21, up almost 11%.
Much needed, I might add, due to the increased price of diesel fuel.
There you go. A load of diesel that had been costing $15,000, $16,000 or so, and now running 30, 32, I mean, well over double.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And that situation. So, and as you can imagine, six big diesel graders running all the time when we can, lots of diesel goes through that place.
You bet.
Yep, we buy a 7,000 gallon at a time. So, it's it's a major expense for us, and the cart tax going up isn't going to come near covering what our
no, but it helps.
Cost are. Yeah, you're right, and it helps. But and even chip and seal is heavily cost of chip and seal is heavily dependent on the price of oil. So all those things greatly affect us. One other thing that's not necessarily connected to the roads, but we talked about this national forest money. The U.S. Treasury announced a couple of weeks ago that, about 3 weeks ago, actually the end of September, they announced that they were releasing millions of dollars that actually we weren't hardly aware that was even sitting there. Yeah, they were releasing millions of dollars to counties that have federal lands and this was just a small part of the ARPA Act.
Never even heard of this part.
Yeah. It's called the Local Assistance and Tribal Consistency Fund. You can get that, yeah. Local Assistance and Tribal Consistency Fund. There's millions. It may be billions. I don't know. Once you get past so many zeros, I lose track. But there's millions and billions in this thing. How this country's ever going to repay this back, my grandkids and your grandkids are going to be still paying back what we've done to ourselves with this. But those monies are being released and being sent to the counties that have federal lands. It will be coming in 2 payments, and of course it's based then on how much federal land.
Sure.
Federal land being the National Forest and National Scenic Riverways.
Right, and we have a nice chunk.
So the way the formula works, Dent County will be getting 2 payments, one for 2022, and that one may already been deposited. Be 2 payments of $244,227.63 each payment. So it'll be a total of $488,455.26 that will be sent from the federal treasury. And that basically it can be used for any governmental expenses other than lobbying, which at least that part of it makes sense. So, but it's pretty open-ended. So for the time being, those dollars will be deposited in the ARPA fund itself. They'll be earmarked, and be separate marked because there are strings and contingencies on the ARPA funds. Not much now with the last things they've done with it. We could pretty open, but at any rate, we will mark those and identify those separately. But at any rate, one round of that come in 22 and one round to come in 23. So one thing at least that might help ease the sting a little bit of this going back to the Department of Revenue, the $933,000+ mistake that they made that we've got to repay yet, and we're still negotiating that settlement. The lawyer, we're much closer. I know people are tired of hearing me say this every time.
You said last time we probably have some good news.
I really thought I'd have some good news, but the good news is we're closer. And the good news is I think we're closer to a settlement that will be easier to swallow and stomach than what had been, but we're still going to have to repay $933,000. That's it, in a nutshell, period. Plus, but
it is nice that extra money has been added to the coffers, because every time you start thinking about taking $933,000 away from different projects that you have to get done, Darrell, it just moves those farther back, and they really need to be addressed now.
You got to remember that's in addition to the $1,005,000 they withheld from us last year.
Right.
So when you hear that we've got a reserve, in the fund, you think, oh wow, man, why are they sitting on that much reserve? Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God we were sitting on some pretty good reserve. Now we didn't know when they took the $1.5 million. They didn't tell us the calculator was still running and they were going to be hitting us with another nearly $1 million. It was devastating enough to find out we were losing $1,005,000 right off the bat last year in February, March, and April. But that's it, and we could survive it, and fortunately, and here we are. And so now we're negotiating this other. So at any rate, this other surprise $488,000 will help sustain that a little bit. In the meantime, county work goes on and things.
Sure.
We got work to do on the courthouse. We got as I mentioned at the last meeting, we did give final approval to a total $1.6 million bid to do on that, and we'd earmarked about $800,000 or so of general revenue funds under capital expense towards some work on the courthouse. And so again, we've been looking at using some ARPA funds to make up that difference, as well as the ARPA funds to help make up some of the cost of this repayment on these Department of Revenue snafu. And again, a lot of that dependent upon what kind of a settlement we can get with them on a payback plan.
Sure.
But I am optimistic that plan's going to look better than than what we'd ever thought in the beginning. But we'll just see how that works. I don't count anything until all parties have signed and agreed.
The hardest thing is, with the work on the courthouse, it's so old that once people actually start tearing into it to renovate it, there's, as well as I do, there's going to be additions to something.
There's going to be, hey, look, we found this. We need to fix this before we move on. We know that. Yeah. Absolutely. So that contingency's just about for the most part, I think for the most part, they have a pretty good handle on everything. I think that's with the way they've looked at it and structure. I'm hoping that those surprises will be minimal.
And that'd be great.
Yeah, but I know there's going to be some.
Well, and also the cost of making the renovations to keep the courthouse looking pretty much the way it is. You can't find some of those materials anymore, it would cost too much to create them with the craftsmanship that would be needed.
Well, this is what this is going to do. It's going to end up basically pulling out and replacing the dormers with pre-made dormers, then up above, and then getting on around. So there's a lot of work to be done. And what it'll be, at one point, the entire courthouse will be surrounded with a scaffolding network all the way around. The opens for the doors to go in and out, but it's going to be surrounded. It's up in the air yet when we're actually having a meeting this coming week with the project architect and engineer, Corky Stack, and with the contractor, Alexander Construction out of Rolla, and really tickled to get a local, I say local, when you get a contractor, at least from Rolla, it's pretty, we didn't have any local here in the county bid it, but we do have a local contractor who's one of the subcontractors with Alexander to do part of this work. So, that some of that money, a good bit of that money is going to stay right here anyway. And having a contractor that's right here in Rolla, over here next to us, there's a lot more, well, for one thing, the expense is much less because their crews are traveling less, and they can drive back home that evening and all that. So we'll be meeting with Alexander Construction and Stack this week, probably Wednesday, to go over the fine points of how this is going to work. We'll mention, depending on how and when this stuff is going to work, it could very well impact whether we have Christmas lights on the courthouse this year. If that scaffolding needs to go up, we're not going to hold them up in any way, shape, or form. If the scaffolding needs to go up, which means we can't get in and repair all the lights and get it all working, all that, then that's just the way it'll be. We're going to...
Well, the scaffolding's up. They're already there.
Yeah. So, we'll see. I'm hoping we can have the Christmas lights. I love coming into town and seeing the courthouse lit, and everybody does. And when this project is done, the last thing we'll be installing new LED Christmas lights and things around.
Put them on their own circuit this time, huh?
Yeah. So, It'll be done right, done better. So, but at any rate, we're just going to work it out with them, and we're not going to try to hold off on doing this or that because we're going to try not to interfere in any way, shape, or form on getting this done as expediently as we can, because we want them to get in and be able to get it done. So anyway, that's going on.
Very good. Did have a little bit of dark news though, in hearing that automated business systems.
Yes, sir.
Was going to be going out of business. And, of course, the county courthouse has used their services for many, many, many years with computers and things. And that kind of left the county kind of looking for a new person, didn't it?
Yeah, it sure did. Dave and Joanne Wells have been in business down at Automated Business Systems, ABS. I forget now how many years.
It's been over 40 with Bill and Eva, too. So I don't know exactly how long.
We miss them already. They closed up, they retired, and nobody stepped up to fill that void. And I'm shocked that nobody's really stepped up to really just get in there with him and take it over. And we're disappointed, but yes, we've got to have computer tech assistance all the time. The assessor, collector, treasurer, and county clerk there in the courthouse did visit with a firm out of Rolla, and I failed to get their... Oh, yeah, PC Tech out of Rolla. So the county clerk did ask for permission for us to approve a contract for $1,200 for the next year, just for them to help and assist with her office. Because, all the offices have got to be, when there's a glitch, it's got to be addressed. So we did approve that, and Dave Wells himself was very familiar with them, and they were highly recommended by him as well, that they would be a good firm and would do us good work. So we was glad to get that done, and we'll be working with the other office holders as to what their plans are for tech. Some of them require a little more work, and some of them have some people that work specialty in the, in that particular field. I think the treasurer will probably be wanting to do a contract with this same firm as well, and we'll see what the others want to do, but we'll be working with all the office holders to get good tech people in to fill that void. But it's just not going to replace the good people we had here in town that you can call and they'd be over there in 5 or 10 minutes and stuff. They were just done great for us.
In all honesty, sometimes we just don't know how good we have it until that service is gone.
That's right.
And then people say, well, but you can get it anywhere. You can go online.
No, you
can't go online.
No.
And if you want to have somebody get on a phone and try and walk you through it, you might be waiting 5 to 8 hours.
We're talking about stuff just as simple as, wait a minute, why is the copier not working?
Yeah.
Call AVS to see if somebody can come over and fix a stupid copier.
Yeah.
And
maybe
what?
A cable could be.
Maybe over and fix it, or whatever, something jammed, or they come over and point out that you didn't push this button. Oh yeah. Okay.
Well, we've all done that, haven't we?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it's part of it.
I had had a tractor recently, just nothing like a computer, but a tractor recently wouldn't start. And dadgum, man, very frustrating. What in the world? Didn't make any sense. Well, so we ended up having to have a technician come from the dealer and plug his deal in, trace, and then boom, there it goes, shows right there. Oh, okay, turn around. It's a fuse, one fuse out of a multitude of fuses in a deal. And replace it, well, pops it. Well, so then plug back in. Well, the reason it's being popped is because of a sensor, another sensor elsewhere on the engine, but it located it. I could have spent every day, all day, still not know.
Yep.
It's just a different world. And I mean, that wasn't cheap, but on the other hand, the tractor's running now.
40 years ago, your tractor didn't have a sensor.
No, it didn't have a sensor. It didn't have fuses. It had a couple of fuses and a main link, and that was it.
That's it.
Something didn't. And basically all that fuse, basically either it cranked over or it didn't, and I don't know. It's just a different world in which we live. And but these people that know this stuff, this young man, I mean, he gets his laptop out and he plugs it into this port and into this deal and that, and sits up there and ting with his fingers. And I'm thinking, man, everything I've ever done to working on a tractor piece of machinery, I'm filthy dirty, and it's up to my grease up to my elbows before I get done. And he's all nice and clean when he started, and all nice and clean when he left.
Yeah.
And those little pliers replace that fuse, snipped the wires on the sensor that was given the problem, basically unhooked it, because it doesn't have to be on all the time, and that took care of the problem. So got a new sensor ordered. We'll get it in. That's not a problem. I can do that anyway, and I can do quite a bit. But I wouldn't even, me or you or no other farmer would even begin to have the laptop and all the various stuff goes with to plug in and find and locate where the one fuse. I mean, you're talking about a fuse panel that's, holy mackerel, looks like your computer thing you've got sitting here behind you. So anyway, we do miss Dave and Joanne. I do wish them absolutely the very best in retirement, though they deserve it, and I know they're going to enjoy. Once they get over it's got to be, as well, Dave said, he come in and visited with us before he left. It's very bittersweet, and I'm sure it was. And but we miss them already, and if either one of them are listening, I hope they know that.
Yeah.
Actually, ran into Joanne earlier this week, and
did you?
Hugged her and told her already missed them. But anyway, wish them very well.
We do.
But we are glad maybe to have somebody here with PC Tech that'll fill that void. So anyway,
we do miss them quite a bit, and not only the services that they offer, but their friendship as well.
Yes, sir. You bet. Yep.
Yeah,
Valued members of our community, Dave. I'm still on the fire department board, I think, down here, and has been for many years. Yeah. So just good local people.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that. All right. Well, we do know that the county had a visit from your friends at the Salem Nutrition Center.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson came in along with Jody Schaefer, Linda Johnson, and they were talking about possibly needing funds along with Beth Frizzell from the Salem Senior Center Services Board.
Yeah. And they talked about Beth had come in and talking about maybe they might be amending their budget to provide some extra funding to the senior citizens, to the nutrition site, that they were coming up short. And so she wanted to visit with us about that. So I talked to her and asked her to have them come in and visit with the commission as a whole and with her too about their situation, what was going on there. And you were there, Stan, and it is a tough deal. And they've got some members coming on though. They've got to get a better handle on what's happening to them every month, finance-wise, and so forth and so on. And so it was a good meeting, and I think it was helpful for Beth because Beth Frizzell is chairman of the Senior Citizen Board that does get some sales tax that they allocate to the nutrition side as well as to the SMTS. So they look at that every year, how much they can allocate. And so we were looking at that and just seeing kind of what was what and what was happening here, especially as we get down here to budget time and what some remedies might be and so on. But before you can get somewhere, you got to know where you're at.
Right.
And so I think that was part of the problems they were having.
Most of that work now has been done. So
yeah,
they're in the process of doing a few things, and they're working on some different contracts that they have once they found out how much they were spending in certain areas. But one of the things that I don't think anybody at the Salem Nutrition Center ever thought of was Aging Best was going to cut them $25,100 from their food in the middle of the calendar year, but the beginning of their fiscal year, which is something that they don't have another avenue for revenues except after contributions.
They don't. They have no way of making that up really. So it's a tough deal. Yeah, and that entity they deal with deals on a July 1 to June 30th budget year, and of course they're working with a January 1 and budget, so they draw up a budget and then find out in July that a major source of revenue is being cut, so that makes it difficult. And we run into that all the time ourselves too, based as we deal with state agencies and things, find out that later in the year that they can't do what we'd previously planned on from the past. So that's one of them things. So at any rate, it was a good meeting. I'm glad they come in, and I think
they'll be back
I think it was helpful
to get I think the commission up to date on what's going on down there, which you mightily need to know, especially because budget time, really, Darrell, for next year is right.
It's right upon us. It's right upon us.
Yeah, so it needs to be done, and they need to really move forward on it. But yeah, we were able to get some information to them, and
the nutrition site does a fantastic job of providing meals for our elderly citizens, our homebound citizens, and so forth, so on. They do a tremendous job, and we do want to help them any way we can.
Well, county is still waiting on graders. They're having to kind of lease some, and the one they have leased doesn't work much.
We leased. Well, we did do a purchase on a couple of new John Deere graders, and they were supposed to have been here in September, and they're still not here. So they've run into supply chain issues and stuff. And then they brought a couple of graders. That's still up for debate whether it was a loan or lease, but in the end, it doesn't matter. If the grader doesn't work, well, then there's problems there too. So we've had to send them back and have them bring different ones, and so that's been kind of an ongoing challenge back and forth there. So we're just anxiously awaiting the arrival of the two new graders. We already have the lease purchase financing approved and worked out, and everybody's just waiting.
So think how good it was 4 years ago. You need new graders, you got your bids in, you got your graders.
You could usually get them. Actually, just a few years ago, you could have them within 3 or 4 months, and then it got to be 4 or 5 or 6, and now here we are. When did we approve these? Back in April? I think it was.
A long time ago.
Something like that. And they said then, it'd be 1st of September. Well, here we are, 1st of November. So we'll see.
Still waiting.
Anyway.
Still waiting.
I do want to mention, too, we also are seeking bids. We first put out, we thought it was just our auto bids, but that we needed bids, auto insurance. And but actually, it's our total package for auto insurance, general liability, and errors and emissions. So we did approve yesterday, getting those back out for bid, and with those bids due back by 10 a.m. December 15th. So
that seems a long way off, Darrell, but it's not.
No, it's not. It's not. It'll be on us. It will be on us in a flash.
Well, it's been a busy time at the courthouse with no excuse absentee voting as well as excused absentee voting. And we know it's been busy, but it's going to be busy. The clerk's office will be open Saturday, tomorrow, 8 until noon for your absentee voting. Excused or non-excused? And somebody said, well, what do I got to use an excused one for if a non-excused will work? Well, I can't answer that question.
I can't either. I don't know if they even ask you now. I don't think they do.
But anyway.
But at any rate, you can vote right now if you want to vote. Instead of waiting until Tuesday, you can go in and vote. You can vote today. You can vote tomorrow at the courthouse, 8 a.m. to noon, or you can vote anytime Monday up till 5 p.m. It'll be open. It'll be open a little later on Monday till 5 p.m. And after that, it'll be at the polls on Tuesday. And be sure and vote, folks. This election's very, very important.
It is. But also remember, if you need to update your registration information, get it done now.
Yep.
Today
your address, your
or tomorrow.
location.
You can go in tomorrow and get it done. But they need that for the voting polls. And remember, the new law that was signed in August, you must bring a photo ID.
That's right. You must bring a photo ID to vote.
It can be a driver's license. It can be a non-driver's license from the state. It can be a military ID card. It can be a number of different things. Passport that has a photo in it. If you're not sure what you have that would qualify, there are some ways you can go without a photo ID, but you're going to have to make a couple trips.
If you have any question, call the county clerk's office, 729-4144, and they will answer that for you quite quickly.
Now, also, Darrell, there's 4 ballot issues that really are going to be probably the majority of what many Dane County voters will be voting on, besides, a few other races that we have going on. We don't have really that many local races going on.
We have no local contested races on it.
Yeah, I mean, Jason.
You have the congressman, U.S. Senate, state Senate, and U.S. congressman. That's the contested races that are on the ballot. You have the judges on there to retain or not retain. And then you do have these ballot initiatives, amendments and things. And so look at those, study those. If you get a chance, you can go down and get a sample ballot even today or ahead of time, so you have an idea to look at them and call. And I'd urge people to look very closely at Amendment 3. Amendment 3 is going to add 39 pages to the Constitution. I think it's 39, maybe 36, but over 30 pages of wording added to the Constitution. It isn't just about smoking pot. Let's be honest. It's much more than that. So read that very closely. It has a section in it that has to do with appointing a social equity person. It does not spell out what all powers and authorities, so it's open-ended what that person's powers and authorities would do. Very, very interesting, impactful ballot measure, and folks need to look at it very closely. But now, this isn't. We're not campaigning here. We can't on this program campaign for or against.
We're just telling you to read it.
Just telling you to read it.
But it's a long amendment. So
set some time aside when you're wide awake. Get you some coffee. Read it, but read it very closely at what all it does.
And read all the amendments.
And just be sure that is what you want added to the Constitution. 39 pages with social engineering position added.
Yeah. Don't even have it. How are they going to pay for that social engineering?
No mention of how where the money will come from to do it.
Probably from the reimbursement fund for the jails. Don't even go
Don't
there,
even
right?
Start me on that. Okay.
No, but please, we're not telling you how to vote. They're telling you how to go out and get that information. They do have the simple language explanations of these.
Even that isn't complete, though.
It isn't, but you can go down there to the clerk's office. They cannot make you a copy of that because it's too big. So you need to take your phone with you and then just take a snapshot of it and then blow it up and do it that way. Or you can go online and get that language. But if you get the language, the ballot language, just a straight ballot language, boy, Darrell, there's a lot of confusing terminology in it. All of them. It's written in legalese, guys, and if you're not a lawyer, you may not totally get the gist of it. So I highly recommend the simple ballot language method. Again, take your time with it, go on down and take a few snapshots of that and read it and on all 4 amendments so you know exactly what you're voting for. And then have an idea before you go into the polls of what that is and what you have read.
Right. Yeah, don't go to the polls thinking you're going to be able to sit there and read 39 pages about Amendment 3. before you vote. And and be honest, it is something that's going to clog up the lines at the polls voting because of all these ballot issues that are on there. But the one that I believe will absolutely be the most impactful on the state for a long time would be Amendment 3. And once it's in there, if it passes and it's in there, then it will be impossible for a legislature to do anything about problems that arose because of poor wording that might be in it.
No, you then has to go to court, and you got to fight it out, and then the court can hand down clarification.
And I do know they're promoting that law enforcement, that it helps law enforcement, so on. And I have yet to hear of a law enforcement agency that is supporting the measure. It's interesting. It's just a very interesting measure. I encourage folks. I said, I don't care whether you like smoking pot or don't smoke pot. This measure is not about smoking pot, folks. So check it out.
Yeah.
And read it well.
Yeah. Make sure you know the implications on the state. And by the way, they do tell you how it affects the budget. They do tell you what the budget effect is by passing these. And
those estimated budget effects, I don't mean crap.
Well, I know, but it does show you this.
I know.
This is going to be a very expensive bill.
Yeah, it is. It'll be
for the state.
It'll be more than what the estimates are.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be guaranteed. So anyway.
So keep that in mind.
Stan, that's about all I've got.
That wraps it all up. Wow.
You may have some more notes there that you've made.
Well, I don't think there really is too much more. It's all been about the
I do want to mention we did appoint a couple of folks to the Dent County Tourism Committee.
Oh, I did not know that.
Later yesterday, before we got done, before I left there, we did appoint Daniel Salyer Jr. and Marcus Gorman to the Dent County Tourism Committee.
And Marcus is from where?
I believe he is the new owner and operator at Happy Pappy's Campground down in Montauk.
Happy Pappy's.
I hope so, Marcus. If I got that wrong, forgive me. But I think that's what I understood.
Okay,
on that.
very good.
Yeah. So we got that done, and the tourism committee does a great job of helping promote tourism here in the county. So.
Who did they replace, or do you know?
I hate to say, I forget now which two were going off. Yeah,
I didn't know anyway. You knew. Exactly.
I do appreciate everybody serving on the tourism committee. They meet monthly, go over requests, and think about brainsm ideas and things.
Yeah,
and
it's not a paid thing.
No,
it's just
it pays about the same as school board.
Yeah,
maybe a little less.
Or senior citizens board.
There you go. Or any of the numerous other boards.
Yeah,
Fire
a lot
board.
of boards out there. They just don't get much money out of them when you work on them. But I do want to thank Darrell for coming in and spending some time with us.
Yes,
it's a time of year that
I appreciate it.
A lot of things are always going on, a lot of crafts and different things out there. People getting ready for Christmas, Thanksgiving, different things of that nature. So, again, be very cognizant of that. And there's a lot of strangers that come through town. So don't just drive thinking that there's not people starting to, I'll just say, gaper, because there are people always looking to the side trying to find something. Even though you might have a GPS, GPS tells you where it might be, but they're always telling you what to look for to find that location.
Yeah.
So a lot of people do, this time of year, they start to slow down and speed up and things. Also, beware, it is going to be hunting season pretty soon.
Deer are all over the roads.
All over the road. And matter of fact, there was an accident the other day, Darrell, where a guy in a Freightliner hit a deer, came through his windshield.
Holy mackerel.
He got away with
That's
minor
unusual.
injuries, but yeah. So they're deer. They're out there. They're jumping. And
yes, they are.
Matter of fact, I was talking to one of our insurance guys here locally on Monday on Halloween Day, and he said he had 6 deer vehicle accidents reported to him that morning.
Yep, I don't doubt it. They're very, very active. The deer are in its breeding season, so the deer are moving even more than they would be just normal for getting to food and so forth. So anyway.
I think one last thing, Darrell, because we all know it's been very dry. And a lot of people want to burn their leaves right now.
Yep.
But it is going to be a very windy day. Now, I know we're expecting rain, but not until tonight. And if you go out there and burn something today, you could actually...
Strongly recommend you put off burning till tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, you'll be able to burn.
Yeah,
well, they probably won't
Sunday
burn. They might be a little soggy and won't burn tomorrow.
Yeah, Sunday might be a little bit better day. but the winds will die down. But our winds right now are already at 15 to 20.
You try to burn your leaves today, and you might be burning leaves off from the neighbor 2 or 3 miles away too. And that never works out good.
Brush out there is very brittle.
Yes,
very, very
yes, it is.
Easy to ignite. So again, please refrain from any outdoor burning today. We are expecting rain tonight. Should dampen things up good, and then you can possibly put those leaves out there and get them all burnt on Sunday. It's still going to be kind of breezy tomorrow morning and through the day. It will die down by tomorrow night, but, you know, I don't know about you, Darrell. I used to try and always put the leaves up against my neighbor's yard, hope the wind would blow them over. You know, I used to do that. Then it would turn around and blow them back.
Yeah, there you go.
That really got me upset.
Those best laid plans just went awry. Huh?
So now I just mulch them. So we just get them done, take care of. I want to thank Darrell for coming in. He does pay for this program out of his own pocket. There are no county or tax dollars expended to make this program possible. We
just wrote a check this morning.
You did, and we really do appreciate Darrell, and also coming in as a special guest many times that he brings in here to give you more detail on certain items that might be affecting the county. We always appreciate that. And, of course, too, we always want to remind people to please, if you have questions about your county government, you are more than welcome to come and
sure.
be at the meetings. They are 9 o'clock Monday and Thursday.
Yep.
And in the courthouse, and you can come in. They are open to the public.
Yep. Meeting starts at 9 every Monday and Thursday morning. 9 a.m. till noon, or the conclusion of business at hand. Sometimes we've got meetings, things we have to go to. Sometimes business keeps us till 1 or 2 o'clock. Sometimes 3, 4, 5 o'clock. Right. But usually about noon we're out. So.
And occasionally they may have a closed session during the time that they are meeting, and if that is the case, they will lock the door. You will not be able to get in. So just
pretty rarely.
Just it's rare, but just sit outside and wait for them to get done, and then they will be more than happy to address the question you might have. Yep. Very good.
Yep, very good. Yep, I do appreciate the opportunity. We will be back here, what would be, the 18th, I believe?
My gosh, you're right.
Yep, and until then, you know, in the meantime, a week from Saturday is the first day of deer season. And,
gosh, that's
hard to believe. So anyway, but we will be back here, and I do appreciate the opportunity. And until we're back here, I do hope everyone will be safe, happy, healthy. God bless each and every one of you. And we'll leave you with this.